What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Lopes Goes Last podcast channel. We are in the final stretch here, folks. We are going to be doing every single women's championship in WWE from right now all the way through Wrestlemania in this video, or at least that's the goal. If this is only 40 minutes long, you know we had to break it up. So we will see how it goes, but the goal is SmackDown Women's Championship, Women's Tag Team Championship, Women's World Championship. I believe I said SmackDown Women's Championship. Sorry. WWE Women's Championship. I'm getting the names good. I've said it like 20 times since we've been sitting here chatting about it, prepping for this. It's going to happen, guys. Just deal with it. I'm sorry. I know it's not called that. It's just force of habit.
And, well, it's so new that we've had the change, and we've had them not been rebranded, or that we've had the rebrand on those to take them, not necessarily, to push them off so they can be on either show. Because we don't have, because 2 years ago we ran into that issue with Becky and Charlotte, and that was a whole big deal. That was maybe kayfabe, maybe not kayfabe.
Street Profits and then New Day just swapping the titles backstage.
Yeah, and then last year we had, I forget who the title champions, Rhea and Bianca. It's like Rhea was on Raw, but she won the SmackDown title, and Bianca was on SmackDown, but she won the Raw title. And It's like, so at least we can get that confusion out of the way, but now it's just like, wait, what do we call these? Because it's really like a one-word difference.
Right, exactly. Pretty much.
So I don't think anybody will fault you. I definitely won't fault you if you say SmackDown title, Women's title, or SmackDown title, Raw title. I think everybody knows what I mean. So
Fair enough. Well, all right. We're going to start out with the WWE Women's Championship. So, I will take this one first.
Sure.
So the difficulty that you and I are both having, I think, is that, and this is a minor problem, but for the sake of fantasy booking, it's kind of a major problem in which WWE only has a very select amount of women on their roster. Obviously, that aren't singles champions and that aren't currently injured, a la Charlotte Flair. So, booking a Royal Rumble match for the women is a little bit difficult because, obviously, at least for me, it's, hey, if you're in a championship match, you're not in the Rumble. And it's easy to kind of maybe get away with it a little bit for the men's Rumble because typically that goes on last, except for obviously last year in 2018. But every other year it's gone on last, or at least after the women's Rumble. So you have to assume, especially this year, that the men's Rumble will go on last. So say Seth and Drew are having a match and they, fight at the beginning of the show or towards the beginning. You can conceivably have Drew be in the men's Rumble and it makes sense. It doesn't make sense if you were to have Io Sky and Shotzi in a match and, the match hasn't happened yet and then the women's Rumble starts and Shotzi's in the Rumble and then she has a title match later that night. That does not make any sense. So it's difficult to kind of have women's championship matches before a women's Rumble match to book. But I'm going to just kind of do it anyway, at least for mine. I'm not sure if you're doing the same thing for yours, but I know for me, kind of just suspend the disbelief on that part of this just for the sake of the story. Obviously, it would be a little bit messy, but I just kind of had to do what I had to do to tell the story I had to.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I mean, and I think we look at it, it's like the men have 4 different titles, and the women have 3, but they have a heck of a time booking just the tag titles with enough tag teams to where it's like there's only, so when you take that portion out of the depth chart for the women's wrestlers, and then you still have 2 other women's titles that you got to build around. There's just not enough people to go around for all 3 titles sometimes, and then when you get a big star like Charlotte that's hurt, or others, even though you have NXT down there, it's still hard. Because you got those, I feel, are truly more developmental than some other people in positions in NXT. So it's just a weird depth chart for the women. So it's that adds to the difficulty for just WWE as a whole. Not even our end, but just the actual company as a whole, trying to figure out. That's why we only see the titles defended. Every so often. I mean, the current tag champs. I think they won a number one contender match in November and didn't actually get that match until December. So it's like, usually when we have a number one contender in a championship match, they're usually within 2 to 3 weeks, which you learn for men's titles, if not the next week. So,
right.
It's, our booking is kind of reflective of just what, it's difficult for us, but it's also difficult for WWE because men's roster is this long and women's roster is this long.
Right. Right.
It's just the way it is.
Exactly. And so, again, just kind of suspend the disbelief, at least for my portion of the booking. So, again, for the Royal Rumble, there's not a whole lot of story of going into the Rumble. I actually had a pretty difficult time picking who I wanted Io Sky to face because the problem is that she can't face anybody in Damage Control, which is half of the women's roster on SmackDown.
Yes, it is.
Like, legitimately, probably more than half, or at least half.
No, it's half.
She just beat Michin, so Michin's out. No offense to Selena Vega, but there's no story there, so that would just be haphazardly thrown together. Charlotte Flair's hurt, and Bianca Belair is, yes, she's still feuding with Damage Control, but I feel like we've seen that match a million times already. Bianca's had a million chances. It hasn't happened. And plus, I think that might be something they want to do down the road. So, it was difficult. The only person left that has any kind of story or any kind of reason to want to go after Io Sky is Shotzi. So, I have Io versus Shotzi at the Royal Rumble. And here is what I have going down in that match to further the story for the WWE Women's Championship. So, once again, before the match, Io Sky and the rest of Damage Control, obviously that includes Asuka, Kairi Sane, and somewhat of Dakota Kai. Obviously she's hurt, so she's got a limited role.
Manager role.
Right, precisely. So they will tell Bayley once again to stay in the back. They do not want her out there. It will just be Kairi Sane and Asuka accompanying Io Sky to the ring to face Shotzi. They do not want Bayley involved. Once again, as she has done probably 3 or 4 times in the past now, she will not listen. At some point, Shotzi will take out all of Damage Control. Looks like she's taking control of the match, and Bayley will come out to try and help Io Sky. But unlike the other times, this time it will backfire. Bayley will try to hit Io with the WWE Women's Championship. She will miss, and she will accidentally hit Io Sky instead. Once that happens, she obviously looks, oh my god, what did I just do? Obviously, the referee will be down at this point, won't be a disqualification. Then Asuka and Kairi Sane will come to, and they will see Bayley out there and see that she hit Io Sky with the belt. They'll go in, they'll start yelling at her, okay, what are you doing out here? Not supposed to, they can yell at her in Japanese, I don't care, whatever you want to do. And Bayley will look horrified and very, 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 very apologetic. She did not mean to do it, and she's worried that she just cost Io the match. So eventually, Damage Control and Bayley all go into the back. They basically chase her away. But eventually Io does recover and retain the championship, but it was a close call. And now, obviously, there's some tension there between the rest of Damage Control and Bayley, or at least there is a bit of... They're not on the same page. Not necessarily tension or kind of bad blood there yet. But that is what I have happening at the Rumble. And now, I don't know if you have a championship match. If not, do you want to just skip right after the Rumble for you?
Yeah, we can kind of skip right after the Rumble. I just couldn't really honestly come up with what I felt was a decent match, that I could just personally get behind. I like yours. I think I kind of playing out. I think there's obviously tension building within Damage Control. I feel like we've seen it go back and forth for honestly, well, not since they were formed, but honestly, for I would say last year, if not year and a half. I feel like we get that back and forth tension. They're gonna break up, then they're not, because I think they're gonna kind of do it. Then Dakota Kai got hurt, so I think they put it on hold, and then they brought in Asaka and Kairi Sane. So it's kind of like, oh, maybe we're going to go back towards the breakup, and then, I feel like they were going to use, like, Charlotte and Bianca and someone else maybe to kind of spur the breakup more, but then Charlotte got hurt, so I feel like plans have kind of changed again. So it's like, I think you can still build that tension. I kind of see that tension building over TV matches.
Yeah. I agree. I also have building
between Rumble and Chamber, between Chamber and WrestleMania.
Sure.
So I personally don't have a Rumble match. And again, I kind of look at it as most women are probably going to end up be in the Women's Rumble match anyway.
Right. I agree.
Outside of probably EO, so it's kind of like, is it worth trying to, I didn't count the matches that we've kind of put together in the last few weeks of what my Rumble card looks like, but I think even, there might be a potential women's match on the Rumble card this year, but I feel at this point, I think outside of the Women's Rumble, there probably isn't, and if PLEs go like they have been, you have 2 Rumbles and there's 3, maybe 4 matches between the 2 Rumbles, or
right.
And so it's like there just may not be room again, kind of what we're talking before, for a match within WWE itself, and that's kind of where I kind of lean toward. It's like we're seeing them on TV. I feel like we're seeing them on TV more to where, again, since Damage Control takes up so much of the roster in SmackDown, let's just keep building the tension so at Mania we can defend the titles at Mania.
Fair enough. All right. Well, then what do you have going down to start that story for you after the Rumble?
Well, I will say I won't reveal my winner for the Rumble just yet.
Me neither.
But I will say that the Rumble winner will be challenging for the Women's Championship, not the WWE, or not the Women's... Whatever's on Raw.
the Women's World title. Rhea's title, yes.
Women's World title.
Sure.
So I have the Rumble winner challenging for her title.
I agree.
And I don't want to quite say it just yet, but I have, because of the depth we've talked, kind of the depth chart for the women we've talked about needing every bunch of in the Rumble. I have one women's match on my Chamber card, but it's not involved in the women's WWE title. So I'm kind of looking at it all as, I'll reveal my surprise contender for the title later.
Okay, so you don't even have a match. You don't have EO defending her title at the Rumble or at the Chamber.
No, I don't.
Okay, do you have her defending it anywhere in between there?
I wouldn't be surprised. I think you got to line up some more matches on TV, kind of like they did with Minchin. Bring out Zelina somewhere again. Bring out, probably a couple. I'd go at least a couple times with Shotzi. I think of most outside of probably Bianca. She could probably have multiple matches. She's probably more likely to have multiple title matches, or at least matches with Io Sky in the interim up to Mania than maybe the rest of the roster. But I think, I don't know if you want to, I don't think you go as far as like an open challenge or anything, because it's not really like a heel thing. But I think you still kind of try to book some title matches in between PLEs, but no, just because of how I feel like the Chamber card is shaping up for how I have it, and the women's match that I have in the Chamber, I don't have her defending at either PLE until Mania. All right.
Well, definitely a much different direction than I'm going, but certainly one that has a lot of merit. I think that, when it comes to the SmackDown Women's Championship, there's not a lot of stuff to choose from. Right. I completely understand where you're going. And that's what made this booking so hard for me.
Yes.
Because there is just not a lot to work with right now. There's not a whole lot of direction. We know that a Damage Control kind of civil war is coming at some point. We just don't know when and we don't know how.
Right.
And so what I tried to do was I tried to basically tell the story of that happening from Io Sky's perspective. What I am going to have, so again, just to clarify here, so Io Sky versus Shotzi. Bayley accidentally hits Io with the title and almost costs the match, but doesn't. Io still is champion. So the next Friday, so the SmackDown after Rumble, It is announced that the SmackDown Women's Championship will be defended in the Elimination Chamber. And now, honestly, when this happens, I typically will book some kind of tournament, some kind of thing, that people have to earn their way into the chamber. Literally, there are not enough women to do that on SmackDown. Like, the number of women is not 12. Like, it is less than 12. And that's including all of Damage Control, which I only have one member of Damage Control in the chamber. So
I wonder who that is.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder who that is. So it was difficult for me to put together matches, so I just decided we're not going to do that. We're just going to announce the 6 participants in the chamber. The participants are Io Sky, Shotzi, Bianca Belair, Michin, Tamina, and Bayley. So Bayley is the last participant in the chamber. Now, the story goes that Bayley has now been tasked by Io Sky and the rest of Damage Control, excluding Dakota Kai, that her job is to ensure, no matter what, that Io Sky walks out of chamber as the champion. Very similar to the story that they were telling back in 2003 when Randy Orton was in the chamber, and it was his job to make sure Triple H walked out with the title, and Batista 2 years later, same exact thing. It was his job to ensure Triple H walked out with the title. Unfortunately, both of which succeeded. Triple H did win both of those matches. So it is her job in 2024 now to do that for Io Sky. If she does not, meaning if Io Sky does not leave the chamber with the championship, Damage Control will basically completely blame Bayley, and she will probably be kicked out of Damage Control. So, Dakota Kai is not necessarily involved in this decision-making, and so she starts becoming a bit of a comfort for Bayley. She starts becoming a bit of a friend or an ally. Obviously, she's already a friend and an ally, but more so. More of a deeper emotional connection that you see on screen where Bayley confides in Dakota Kai. And Dakota Kai is trying her best to play both sides because she loves all of them, but you can tell that this is not going in a good direction. So the same as what I had in my men's chamber booking, there's going to be 2 triple threat matches. These triple threat matches will determine who is going to move on to the final match that will determine the number 6 entrant. The key that I have is that whoever loses that final match will be the number 1 entrant in the chamber. So those 2 triple threat matches are Bayley versus Io Sky versus Shotzi. So both members of Damage Control are in the same triple threat match versus Shotzi. And the other one is Michin, Bianca Belair, and Tamina. So the first match, obviously, is won by Io Sky. Basically what happens in that match is Bayley and Sky work together to absolutely annihilate Shotzi. They put her through the announce table, they throw her into the steel steps, they bash her leg, and it's a triple threat, so there's no DQ, so you can do whatever you want. Yeah. They just destroy Shotzi. She's completely taken out of the match. There's no way she's going to win. So when it's just down to the 2 of them, the key comes that before the match, at some point, backstage, Io Sky and Bayley are shown coming up with this plan to take out Shotzi. And Io Sky says, and then it'll just be one-on-one, and may the best woman win. And Bayley says, great, that sounds nice. May the best woman win. But when they get out there and they execute this plan, suddenly Asuka and Kairi Sane come down to the ring, get in the ring, and get right behind Io Sky, and they basically coerce Bayley to lay down for Io Sky so that she can win and move on to the finals. Bayley is not happy about this, but she's outnumbered, and she's still on their side at this point. You gotta remember, she doesn't hate them yet. So she goes, okay, yeah, you know what? Sure. I'm here to do what's best for the champ. Okay, I'll do it. So she lays down, Sky covers her, 1, 2, 3, Sky moves on to the finals. The second match is won by Bianca Belair. So that means the final will be Io Sky versus Bianca Belair to determine the number 6 entrant. Obviously has a huge advantage, but the loser of that match will be the number 1 entrant in the chamber. In that finals match, 2 weeks before Chamber, Bianca Belair beats Io Sky because Bayley comes out to interfere, but because she messed up at the Rumble and because she's still a little confused about having to lay down, when she goes to interfere, when Damage Control and Io Sky tell her to interfere, she second guesses herself and she hesitates. And it's just enough time for Bianca to realize what's going on, get rid of Bayley, get rid of Kairi Sane and Asuka, pick up Io Sky for the whatever her Kiss of Death, KOD, 1, 2, 3. Bianca Belair wins and is the number 6 entrant, but more importantly, that means Io Sky now has to start the Chamber, and Damage Control is not at all happy. So the final order of the Chamber is going to be Io Sky, starting with a now very, very ticked off Shotzi Blackheart, which obviously is going to play a little bit of an important role in the Chamber. Bayley will be the first one out of the pod, followed by Michin, followed by Tamina, followed by Bianca Belair. Now, meanwhile, I do want to mention this because this is going to tie into something later. I'm just going to say it now, just because it makes sense with the story. The week before Elimination Chamber, Asuka and Kairi Sane beat, I'm just forgetting there, Katana Chance and Kaden Carter for the Women's Tag Team Championships. Basically, I'll just have it that they go over to SmackDown and be like, hey, we want to see what's over here. And then they get the crap kicked out of them backstage. They have a match next week for revenge. And Asuka and Kairi Sane are the new tag champs. But anyways, at the Elimination Chamber, we go backstage. This is, probably a good half an hour to 45 minutes before the Chamber match for the women will start. What is going to happen is that Bianca Belair is going to be found being attacked actively at that moment by Asuka and Kairi Sane. They are just brutalizing her. They're trying to take her out of the Chamber so that Io Sky has a little bit of an easier time. They've identified Bianca as the quote-unquote number 1 threat in the match, being at number 6 and obviously being Bianca Belair.
Yep.
So they try to take her out. Whenever it is time for the match to start, it is, excuse me, it is, the other women enter the Chamber, enter their pods in the order that they're going to come out. So Bayley goes first, then Michin, then Tamina. But then Bianca Belair's music hits, and she starts to slowly limp down to the ring. She's got a very bad taped up arm from the training table, and she's using the bad arm to hold taped up ribs, and she's got tape going down her leg. She's very beat up, but she wants that women's world title, the WWE women's title, so she's going to gut it out. But Kairi Sane and Asuka attack her again while she's coming down to the ramp, and this time they finish the job. They take her out. Nick Aldis, a bunch of security, referees, medical team come out, and Nick Aldis grabs the microphone and says, Asuka, Kairi, you're banned from ringside. You can't be around this match. If you get in this match, Io is instantly stripped of the championship. And so, of course, they say, okay, we're not gonna have her stripped of the title. He says, I'm not sure if Bianca's gonna be able, she's not gonna be able to continue, 100%. Problem is, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find a replacement. But she does come out last, so I probably have about 20 minutes to figure it out. So, obviously, the Chamber will fast forward to the end of the match, or getting close to it. It is just Bayley and Io Sky left. Obviously, Io Sky survives Shotzi. Bayley comes out first. The two of them take out everyone. They pin Tamina last. It's literally a 2-on-1 the entire match. I fully understand that this will be a wickedly boring Chamber match to watch, but trust me, it'll be worth it when I'm finished. So it's just Io Sky and Bayley left, but the number 6 entrant time has not come up yet. So, but there's nobody in the pod. There's nobody in the 6th pod. So Io Sky and Bayley start celebrating. They're like, yes, we did it. And Io Sky, once again, starts demanding that Bayley lay down. And this time it's different. This time it's in front of 70,000 people or 65,000 people, whatever it's going to be in Australia. This time it's for the women's championship. Now Bayley's really second guessing. She's putting up, she's saying, I don't want to do it. Not this way. Let's just fight it out and then may the best one win. We're both Damage Control. Who cares? No. Your job is to make sure I leave. You're the only one left, which means you lay down. And Bayley, after obviously some arguing, nods, relents, starts to get down on one knee to lay down when the timer starts. Both Io Sky and Bayley all look at each other almost going, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Bayley stands up, they ready themselves, and you don't have to do what it normally is where like all the lights go out and then you don't know who comes out. Because obviously I told you beforehand who's coming out, but at the time we won't know. This is just how I have it booked. So you could just have the timer go down and have all the lights stay up and then have it go boom, and then obviously we're waiting to see if anybody comes down the ramp. If there's anybody that's going to be a replacement. And after about 10 seconds, 15 seconds, nobody comes out. So Io starts to celebrate because, yay, I just basically retained my championship because nobody else is coming out. But Bayley weirdly looks sad. She almost wanted somebody to come out to get her out of this situation. But no one does. So Io once again turns and says, good, Bayley, lay down. And Bayley starts to lay down. You could tell she's not happy. The fans will be booing. And now we're really starting to feel bad for Bayley. That's important. We're really starting to see that she's torn. She doesn't know what's right and what's wrong at this point. And it's really starting to look like Damage Control is just very toxic and not good. But she gets down on the mat. She lays down. 1, 2, and the lights go out. Referee never counts to 3. And whatever the song is called, I'm Amazing, starts playing, and Trinity, better known as Naomi, formerly in WWE, comes down to the ring, and she's clearly the person who has been tasked with replacing Bianca Belair. I've double-checked, folks. Her contract with TNA is up. I don't remember the exact day, but I'm pretty sure they said it was January 19th. Either way, it's sometime in January, which means that she will not be under contract in February when Elimination Chamber rolls around. She's the number 6 entrant. Everybody in Australia goes bananas. And she enters the chamber. She beats both Bayley and Io Sky to become the new WWE Women's World Champion. Now, the match is over. Both Bayley and Io Sky are sitting in the ring. Asuka and Kairi Sane can now come down to the ring. And they tell Bayley, you have failed and you are out. And they absolutely destroy Bayley. Destroy Bayley. Like she has to be carried out on a stretcher. It's bad. They absolutely annihilate Bayley. Like Brock Lesnar did to Cody. I mean, just brutalize her. Put her in a triple submission or a double submission and have Kairi Sane still drop the elbow in between the two just like have her just get destroyed. She's out of Damage Control fully now. The Civil War has begun. And Naomi is now your new WWE Women's Champion.
Very impressive.
Thank you. Now, obviously, we went in 2 very different directions, folks. But let's keep in mind that none of this is right. None of this is wrong, right? I'm probably going to be so wrong, it's not even funny. I am just doing what I think would be fun.
Yeah.
And you are doing what you think would be fun and what would be right for
And
the
I
story,
think with
so.
Naomi, I don't think... wouldn't be surprised whether the contract date is the 19th or not. Let's just say it does go to like February 1st. Rumble's even the 27th of January. There's a decent chance.
She could be.
And I mean, WWE has even brought in once or twice like a TNA champion or TNA representative.
Mickie James. Mm-hmm. That was and they brought her out with her TNA theme song, Primetime Country.
Yeah, so they could do that as a precursor to saying she's coming, but hey, we're still extending her as a leaf to saying, hey TNA, just kind of recognizing that very, very loose partnership. But I think if she makes an appearance at Rumble, mm-hmm. there's even a better chance something like that happens, whether it's involved like she is, like you have her, or even involved as an announced member of the chamber without I don't think the Naomi part, I think, is actually, or Trinity, curious whatever she would go by.
Yeah, whatever she would be, yeah. That's why I said both. We don't know which one she'll
right.
go by.
And I think there's, some possibility of her being around for that title. And, I mean, I think I've said this too before. One thing I always wish they would have done with the Bloodline
was have Naomi
a part of it. And
sure.
I mean, so you could easily work her way into this, and then, obviously at some point down the road, she's got Bloodline backing when you want her involved in other matches and stuff with between other factions. So I like it. But yeah, so like I said earlier, it's, I don't have a match but Chamber. I was expecting you to say someone else there, so I like that.
Not quite.
Yeah, because I think I know where you're going with that then. So again, I'm looking at it more as like, let's build the tension between Damage Control. Again, it's there. I had a hard time trying to figure out if I felt the trigger was worth pulling before WrestleMania or after. Part of that for me was trying to figure out when Dakota Kai might be coming back.
That was another difficult part of this.
And I had it somewhere. I'm trying to remember when she had her surgery. I don't think because it was ACL that she tore, right? So I mean that's a no less than 9 month, likely 12-month recovery. But I don't remember when she got hurt exactly.
I cannot remember either. Yeah, no.
But I mean, I want to say post WrestleMania probably a better picture for her to come back, and I kind of see that breakup happening maybe more post WrestleMania when she is back, because then you can kind of get. I think you can kind of start putting more Asuka and Kairi Sane versus Dakota Kai and Bayley, and kind of start the division that way. So you kind of get like tag matches, but then once Bayley is out of Damage Control, whether Dakota Kai is or not, then Bayley can kind of go after Io for the title there. But again, it's they keep building the tension. I think we'll eventually get it. I kind of like just a trio of Io Sky, Asuka, and Kairi Sane all together at one time. I like that. I like that happening eventually, whether it's before or after WrestleMania.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I wanted to start showcasing. Right, is that they are on the same page, the three of them. Yeah. Whereas Bayley and obviously Dakota are clearly being shunned out, and you could say whatever you want. You could say past history. You could just, if you're weird, you could say, oh well, they're all Japanese. So clearly they're. If you want to be weird, sure, but I think that's really the story that's going to be told, whether it's now for WrestleMania or whether it's after. But I'm choosing to do it now just because I found ways that I think it's fun.
Yeah, so I think there's some plausibility there. Yeah.
But I have yacked enough straight, so why don't you go ahead with your post-Elimination Chamber story of the SmackDown Women's Championship?
So at some point between...
Or I said it again, the WWE Women's Championship. I told you it would happen, guys. I'm trying here.
Post-Chamber at some point, got to find a number one contender for WrestleMania for Io Sky.
Yeah.
And I came up with like a gauntlet match.
Okay. And gauntlet matches are fun. We like gauntlet matches.
They're fun. We haven't had too many for
the women
on the women's side.
I do remember there was one.
I think it was like 2020 or 2021.
Well, no, I went to a show here in 2022, I think, and there was a Shayna Baszler won the gauntlet match to become the number one contender.
Maybe I can't remember that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I no offense, but I was in the bathroom for most of it. I didn't. Yeah, sorry. Just being honest with you, I didn't know Shayna Baszler was going to be in it. To be fair, if I had known that, I probably would have stayed. But
I'm looking at the gauntlet match. Usually, it's done to really elevate someone.
Right, I agree.
My person elevating this one is someone new.
NXT?
No. So
no, not NXT. Okay.
At start, two people to start the gauntlet match for me is Zelina and Shotzi. Again, Shotzi's kind of that one where it's like she's kind of like that next in line or the best of the tier after Charlotte, Bianca, Io, Bayley. But I'm going to have her and Zelina start. And then We finally get Jade Cargill. I think we'll see her in the Rumble. I don't think we'll see her win it. But I think we'll see her. We'll get a taste. So she'll be in there for a little bit. We'll kind of like, okay, she could be interesting. We still don't know where she's going to show up because she's in the Rumble. She's not affiliated with any brand yet. So I think the perfect time is to debut her a couple weeks before WrestleMania. So she comes out. So Xena and Shotzi start. Shotzi eliminates Zelina. Cargill comes out. She pins Shotzi. We bring Minchin out. Jade pins her. Bring Bayley out. And I think that alone can kind of add to a little bit more of like Bayley almost is like, yeah, I want to be in this because that tension's been building. So I think that can kind of go along further to build between the Damage Control. So it's like, I want to be in this gauntlet match. She goes all this. We see it on TV. Maybe like the week before it happens, it's announced, and Bayley's like, put me in this. And then we go to commercial break. It's like, what just happened there? So Bayley comes out, pinned. Last person out is Bianca. Because if you're going to build her out, you kind of got to build up the level of opponent she's facing and taking out. So she pins Bayley, she pins Bianca. And yeah, so I have Jade winning the gauntlet match. She becomes number one contender. And her Io Sky go at it at WrestleMania.
Jade and Io Sky.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that's interesting because I think the original plan, and this is good. I mean, it's. I feel like it's the same thing every year where, Charlotte wins the world title right before WrestleMania just because she delivers in the big matches, which she does. I mean, I'm not going to hold that against her. That's a wonderful problem to have.
Yes.
if you're Charlotte or if your fans are, Charlotte again, it was a really good match. Like it's a wonderful problem to have. But I feel like there was gonna be Bayley costing Io Sky the championship to Charlotte, and then Charlotte faces Jade. So I feel like, you have at least just taken out the middleman there and just had it be, maybe Bayley costs Io at WrestleMania or something. Yeah. Like, you just cut out the middleman and get it going. Or maybe you don't have it happening at all. Maybe you just have Jade winning it clean and Damage Control running away, screaming because a very, 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 very dangerous woman just beat the crap out of all four of them at once.
Yeah. I look at it as what a better way to debut someone that we've been waiting for since September. We've got teases, so again, you see her a little bit in Rumble, and this, a couple weeks before Mania, we get this gauntlet match, and she wins it. I think that's a great way to be like, here's a new addition to the roster that needs a new addition to a roster that's half of one faction. SmackDown.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I like that a lot. So who do you have? You have Jade, I assume, going over at Mania, correct?
Yes, I have Jade. Jade.
I would have yelled at you if that was not
because I mean, to me, it's like what if you're going to build her up for a number one contender and don't pay that off, or I mean, I guess if you could be like, let's milk as much as we can out of it. Have Asaka and Kairi interfere so Io retains at Mania, then have a backlash where then you put Jade over clean. But it's like I looked at it as like you might as well just have Jade clean at WrestleMania, bigger stage.
Yeah, you don't want a Goldberg, Jade Cargill.
Yeah, bigger stage. I mean, she's obviously part of the future of WWE women's wrestling, and again adds depth. I think you get a lot of, and then you can kind of restart building that depth around that championship while we're waiting on Charlotte.
Fair enough.
And
I like it.
Possibly Naomi. I think you're adding her back in WWE would be great, and if we can add her back into SmackDown, again, obviously we can do Bloodline stuff, but another challenger.
Sure.
And we kind of finally build up that challenging group for that title.
Sure. So, I love that. I'm a big fan of Jade, and I think that she is. Listen, I've said this a few times during these videos. I'm going to the Royal Rumble this year.
Very jealous to wait.
I cannot wait because I feel like people are 100% certain that she's going to debut in the Rumble at this point. A lot of people want her to debut before the Rumble. I wasn't that person. I'm always a big fan of Rumble debuts. I just think that they're the best. Yeah. And I cannot wait to see just based on her music and her entrance and her presentation in AEW, what they do with the much bigger production value and much just larger than life kind of feel WWE has. Like, she was kind of like Storm from the X-Men. The white hair, obviously very, very jacked. Literally, her song started with "A storm is coming" with thunder and then storm sirens. I don't think that they're going to have the same exact music, but I hope it's similar because it's like a perfect like rock and hip hop and storms and like it is so perfect for her character that if it's something similar with that higher production value, it's just going to be awesome. So anyway, moving on from Jade, because she's unfortunately not in my SmackDown Women's or Women's WWE Championship booking. So I know it's tempting. I just talked about Bayley getting kicked out of Damage Control. So we probably want to hear about that. But the problem is that none of those 4 women have the championship now. So we move to Naomi, who comes out the next Friday, grabs a microphone, obviously thanks everybody for all the support that she's had over the last 2 years since she's been away, yada, yada, yada. And I think it's really important because I think one of the things that we all thought about Naomi is that she was very underpushed. She was very underutilized. Yes. I think having her win a world title the second she basically comes back, I think would really send a message that things are going to be different this time. Not only to the fans, but to Naomi herself.
Yes.
So I think, she can come out and not necessarily talk explicitly about how she was underutilized before, but, say that things are going to be different this time. I'm not the same that I was. I'm not going to, start, breakdancing and then lose matches. Like, this is for real now. Like, I'm not playing around. And so she immediately wants to know who her challenger is going to be at WrestleMania. And she's immediately answered by a very beat up Bianca Belair. And so Bianca answers her challenge, and she says, "I don't care if I'm hurt. I want that championship. And if it was me, we all know I would have won that championship instead of you." She has a legitimate claim. She was screwed out of the match.
Yep.
She never got her championship match. So she basically challenges Naomi at WrestleMania. However, Io Sky still wants her title back.
Right.
So there will be a triple threat match at WrestleMania. Io Sky versus Bianca Belair versus Naomi for the SmackDown. I said it again. The WWE. I'm very dumb. It's
we know what you mean.
The WWE Women's Championship. I would have that match happen on night 2. Based on what I have in my other bookings, where I have those placed on the card. And so I think that it would be a really, really good night 2 match to have. And I have Naomi retaining her championship, pinning Io Sky. So Bianca, unfortunately, still kind of has some legitimate claims because don't you just want to see Naomi versus Bianca one-on-one or whatever the case may be, going down the road if Charlotte comes back. I don't know when she's going to be back. But I think that you could set stuff up for the future, but if you have Io get beaten, then it's kind of a definitive end to Io's that championship run for Io.
Yeah.
She moves on to other
the pot again too.
Exactly. So Naomi is ultimately walking out of Mania as your WWE Women's Champion.
Okay. So we both have the title changing at Mania. I like that. Both different debuts. Again, we're just fun booking this, but I think both are plausible. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Makes me want Naomi back more. And I was just thinking while you were saying that too. It's like, that Friday after Chamber, you could almost even have Paul Heyman come out if you really want to tire to the Bloodline that quick.
Yeah, fair enough. You definitely,
I don't know. Like I said, I've been wanting her part of that for so long that it's like, if she truly does come back, it's like, even if it takes 6 months, it's like, how could you not put her a part of it right now? I mean, in a sense, I guess she's more of,
she's bloodline and law.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really necessarily bloodline. She's just married into it.
Right, but it's, as I'm thinking about this too, at the same time, if she's beating Io, she's going to be coming back more of the face. That's a heel faction, so maybe you wouldn't have her.
Yeah, I would honestly. I mean, I think everybody's just going to be so happy to have her back.
Yeah.
I don't think she'd be coming back as a bad guy right now.
Yeah, and I don't think you would turn her that quick either.
No, and it could be she might even. I would honestly have it maybe be like a voice of reason for Jimmy. Try and get her back on the same page with his. Get him back on the same page with his brother. Excuse me.
Yeah, you could actually go that. That's actually a fun direction to go. Yeah.
All right. Well, that is the SmackDown Women's Championship, or excuse me, the WWE Women's Championship. I'm going to say it 400 more times. It's just the whole thing. That's out of the way. Moving on to the Women's Tag Team Championships. Would you like to go first for this one since I went first the last one? Go right ahead. Obviously, we are starting before the Royal Rumble. Where we are at right now is obviously Katana Chance and Kane Carter are champions. They just defended the tag titles yesterday, as of time of recording, against Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. So it does not look like they will be contending for the titles anytime soon. So what do you have going on?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, maybe get a little time. Again, these tag titles are, I feel, only defended every 3-4 weeks. Honestly, I don't remember the last time they were on a PLE. Chelsea and Piper got their kind of their rematch. For losing the titles. Again, they lost those titles back in the middle of December. So they found their rematch, and obviously you have the holiday to show there, but that still took 4 weeks to get to the rematch for them. So to me, it's like, how much do they really truly care? But yeah, no, I think it's interesting. I think with the tag titles too, we've honestly seen a lot of different reigns. We haven't seen like a truly long reign outside of the Kabuki Warriors when Kairi Sane was first with WWE before she moved on, before she came back. Asuka. Whole time pronounce that name. Asuka and Kairi actually had the titles for 180 days, which, from what I could tell, that was like the longest reign with titles. And the titles haven't been around for that long.
I think. Did Sasha and Bayley have a longer reign than that?
I could probably tell you.
I don't know for sure. But either way, you might be right.
I think they were close.
Yeah, they might have been close, but yeah, they did. Because I know they had the tag titles and both women's titles at the same time at one point, which was buckets of fun.
So. Yes, that was so much fun.
Yes, so buckets of fun.
I think it's a title that we should see it change every few months. Obviously there's only so many teams that are around to defend it. So I like the idea of let's change it every 3, 4, or 5 months. I don't have anything. I don't have them. I don't have any kind of title or any match centered around those titles at Rumble again. I think all the women will just be in the Women's Rumble. But I do have a number 1 contender match at Elimination Chamber. I love my number 1 contender matches. That's the second one I have.
Okay.
I think on that card as we've fantasy booked it, because we have a book. So, and when I was looking at what we've done for the card, I've put, I think, pretty much all the men's title being defended on that card. I think you've done all but the U.S. title. So I was like, a women's match needs to be there. Why not have another number 1 contender, and why not make it a chamber match?
A number 1 contenders for the women's tag title chamber match.
Yes.
That would be the first in history. Good luck finding 6 teams. There's a lot more than 6 teams, obviously. It's just more of like a good luck finding 6 teams that have been together longer than 2.5 weeks.
Right.
I feel like half the teams have just been haphazardly thrown together. Piper Niven, Chelsea Green, Natalya Tegan Knox, Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler. Yep. There's just a lot of teams that are just kind of thrown together. Oh, Maxine Dupree and Ivy Nile now. A lot of them.
Yep, no, that's exactly where I was going. Chelsea, she was fighting alongside Sonya Deville before Sonya got hurt. So then they did some weird stuff and they paired her with Piper Niven. Michin has been paired with Zelina Vega most recently, but we also saw Michin with Candice at one point, and even Asuka really, really early in 2023 before Asuka was even close to the damage control circle. Yep. So I mean, again, to your point, a lot of teams. So Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, as one of my
The Way. We are the Way.
We are the Way. Let's see. Hope I don't butcher the names here.
That's okay.
Alba Fire and Isla Dawn.
Yeah, you got it right.
We just saw them on SmackDown 3 weeks ago. I forget where they interfered and kind of really shut off, but I think that was kind of like their debut, I guess, on SmackDown. I think.
Yeah, essentially, yes. That was their debut. Who did they attack? Was it Asuka? It was I think it was in a women's championship match, wasn't it? Or something like that.
No, I think it was like another... I think it was like some kind of tag match.
Yeah, it could have been.
I don't quite remember. I don't think I was able to watch that episode that day. So Fire and Dawn, Chelsea Green, Piper Niven, I think, put them in there. The Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane. Michin and Vega, just kind of mentioned them. That's probably my truest thrown together team, so I could have 6 teams for this.
Sure.
just to be honest. And Ivy Nile, she's been kind of tagging with some people, but she's more on her own, so she doesn't really have like a tag team partner. So that's another, I feel like a little bit more plausible thrown together team. I have Ivy Nile with Tegan Knox. I know Tegan's kind of been tagging with Natalia a lot, but I was like, if we're going for as fresh but still somewhat plausible teams, they've both been in NXT, and they might have even had some random tag matches in NXT. I don't remember off the top of my head. So I have 6 teams for you. Chamber, I think you probably have the Kabuki Warriors, come out as a 6th team. I think, Chelsea and Piper are, probably your first team eliminated just to kind of get them out of the way, but we have to have 6 teams. At the end of it, I have Fire and Dawn facing the Kabuki Warriors, with the Kabuki Warriors winning the number 1 contender spot for the tag team titles at Elimination Chamber.
Kabuki Warriors.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. I mean, again, a similar direction, just not quite told in that way. I like it though.
Yeah.
All right. So, do you want to just finish out through WrestleMania, since I kind of already did my sort of through Chamber?
Yeah.
What's going to happen with those?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have much else to really add. Again, it's 2 nights for WrestleMania, so let's see how the titles defended. So Kabuki Warriors, since they're number 1 contenders in WrestleMania, they get Carter and Chance, and I have Kabuki Warriors going over.
All right.
I feel like Carter and Chance will get some good runs, maybe face 1 or 2 of those teams in the interim on TV matches. Kind of like you said, let's see them 1 or 2 times on Raw, let's see them 1 or 2 times on SmackDown, kind of maybe keep them away from Kabuki Warriors until WrestleMania. It's that way we don't really get them interacting until then. So I think you kind of do a couple of the other teams, on SmackDown. Maybe we get, they go down NXT 1 or 2 more times as well to defend the title there. I almost think you could almost rotate once a week, is like 1 time in Raw, 1 time in NXT, 1 time in SmackDown, cycle 1 more time, and you could probably get some decent matches between now and WrestleMania and give them a good run of, hey, they defended the titles, they defended it well, and that, but now they're facing the Kabuki Warriors.
Yeah, whole
new levels. So, Kabuki Warriors take the title at WrestleMania.
Fair enough. All right. I mean, again, I like it. I think that certainly I would say that they're the favorites to take the titles at this point. I don't see another women's tag team that's going to have a better shot than them. And obviously, I agree with you because, as I mentioned before, in case you guys missed it or you skipped ahead to the women's tag titles in this video, I actually mentioned a little earlier that I have Kairi Sane and Asuka beating Katana Chance and Kaden Carter on the SmackDown before Chamber for the tag team championship. So again, that is just kind of the review to catch you up to where I'm at with this booking. So right now, after the Elimination Chamber, Asuka and Kairi Sane are the SmackDown the WWE Women's Champions. Or tag team champions. I can't say title names today, guys. I'm so sorry. The WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. There you go. Okay. So, kind of leading up to WrestleMania, obviously at Chamber, Bayley was kicked out of Damage Control and attacked, and left bloody and broken and beaten. But she is back on SmackDown a few days later, mostly recovered. Obviously, she's still pretty beat up, but she's at least cleared to, do stuff. And she makes it her mission to take the tag team championships off of Kairi Sane and Asuka. Why? Because she blames them for poisoning Io Sky's mind. She thinks Io Sky, myself, Dakota Kai, we were one big happy family until Kairi Sane and Asuka came along. Mm-hmm. And they started poisoning Io Sky's mind and feeding her lies. And so I blame them for all these problems. She does not blame Io. So she blames, obviously, Kairi Sane and Asuka. So she thinks I'm going to take their championships from them. Especially since I can no longer take Io Sky's title because she does not have it. So the problem with that is that in order to do that, she needs a partner. And so, of course, she goes to Dakota Kai, who, as I mentioned earlier, again, if you missed it, she's kind of been a source of comfort for Bayley, and Dakota Kai has not been really involved or even told of the plans by Damage Control. They've left her out of it completely because she's injured. They don't think she can add any value to what's happening right now, so they just leave her out of it. So Bayley goes to Dakota Kai and basically says, hey, do you want, are you on my side here? Do you want, and she says, yes, Bayley, I do love you, but the problem is I am still in Damage Control. I'm still with them too. So I'm kind of stuck in the middle here. I don't really know where to go. And plus, I'm not medically cleared to compete. So even if I wanted to help you, I can't. So you're going to have to find somebody else. So Bayley looks up and down, all around, tries to find people to tag with her. Shotzi, but Shotzi's been attacked by Bayley a billion times. They can't do it. Michin, nope. Selena Vega, nope. Tamina, nope. Everybody that Bayley tries to get to be on her side, they just don't believe her because she's been in Damage Control and she's been the leader, so no one trusts Bayley for valid reasons. No one wants to be her partner, so she doesn't really know what to do. It's just this very, very difficult kind of situation for Bayley. Meanwhile, with Dakota Kai, she's constantly visited. Every single week, there's a backstage segment where Dakota Kai is visited by Kairi Sane and Asuka. And they're basically pleading with her, hey, come on, where have you been? We've been calling you, we've been texting you, you haven't picked up. What do you do? What's going on? Don't you want to hang out with us and go out to dinner after the show? And we haven't, you've been traveling separately. What's going on? And Dakota keeps saying, I don't really know what I want. I don't know. I love all of you, and you're tearing each other apart, and I don't really know what to do. But right now, I'm not really the biggest fan of you guys. Right now, this is not cool. Now they don't touch her, they don't beat her up, they get upset at her, but they don't physically assault her because she's not medically cleared to compete in their eyes, and they at least have enough respect for Dakota to not attack her. So eventually, you start getting Damage Control attacking Bayley. So she doesn't have a partner, so she's easy pickings for Damage Control. They attack her week after week after week leading to Mania. But the week before WrestleMania, after Bayley constantly nagged Nick Aldis to get her a tag team championship match at WrestleMania, he finally relents and gives it to her under the condition that she needs to find a partner to actually defend it with that's not Dakota Kai, because Dakota Kai is not medically cleared to compete. So, again, Bayley's kind of in a pickle, because if she doesn't, she has to defend, or she has to go after the titles by herself. It's going to be a 2-on-1 handicap match. And that's no bueno for Bayley. So, fast forward, WrestleMania arrives, night 2 of, night 1 of the pay-per-view, excuse me. The women's tag titles are defended. Damage Control enters the ring first. There's no Io Sky out there yet, obviously, because she's preparing for her match the next night to try and get the WWE Women's Championship back, as I just mentioned earlier. And then Bayley comes out. She grabs the microphone, or she has a microphone with her, and she says, "I hate to break it to you guys, but I did in fact find a partner for this match. And man, when it comes to partners, I don't think I could have possibly asked for a better connection."
I know where you're going.
Monet. And Mercedes Moné / Sasha Banks makes her return. Now, I know, it's reported that she's probably going to AEW, but the key word there is probably, not definitely. There has not been a contract signed.
Yep.
AEW, at least sources in AEW, feel that she's going to debut for them soon. I genuinely do not know where they're getting that idea based on the fact that there has not been a contract signed. I don't know what is going on there. It's possible that this is completely incorrect. By the time this video even comes out, quite frankly, she may have already debuted by the time this comes out. I don't know. But a boy can dream. And, God, I hate to be insulting, but something has to happen to make me care about the tag team championships. Something. I don't care what it is, something. And this, to me, is that something. It is the Boss and Hug Connection reuniting at WrestleMania, possibly the biggest star in the women's wrestling industry, making her return to WWE on the grandest stage of them all to reunite with her best friend / worst enemy / best friend, depends on the day.
Yes.
But for now, best friend for this portion.
You're just bringing everybody back.
I am. And so, obviously, Kairi Sane and Asuka knock them both out and retain in 2 minutes, because that's what everybody would know. Obviously, I'm just kidding. Boss and Hug Connection do win the tag team championship at WrestleMania. But also, beautifully, about 3/4 of the way through the match, the referee goes down. Io Sky runs down to the ring to interfere, and she does interfere. She starts taking out Bayley and Sasha, or Mercedes, whatever she's going to be called if she comes back. And, Damage Control, the rest of them, Asuka and Kairi Sane, are just down and out. And so it's just Io in the ring, wailing away. And then slowly and gingerly over the barricade comes Dakota Kai with her crutch. She limps into the ring. She gets in the ring. And now it's time. Io Sky looks at her and says, hit her. Hit Bayley. Go ahead, hit Bayley. And everybody's going, no, don't, come on, Dakota, don't do it. Oh, God, blah, 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 right? So she grabs her crutch. She looks at Io Sky, she looks at Bayley, she looks at Io Sky, she looks at Bayley, and she hits Bayley with the crutch. And everybody goes, no, Dakota, why did you do that? And Io Sky laughs and and cheers and hugs Dakota, and Dakota just has this pure look of just like dead in her face. And then she turns and stares right at Io, and Io stops laughing, and she starts wailing away on Io Sky with this crutch, destroying the crutch, jumping on her, and everybody's like, wow, for somebody who's not medically cleared to compete, she looks great. And then she rips off her knee brace and starts jumping up and down and pounding the knee, giving the obvious signal that she is, in fact, good to go, and she has chosen to leave Damage Control. She chases Io Sky all the way back upstage. The match restarts, but kind of settles back down and kind of continues from there. And then Bayley and Sasha Banks, or Mercedes Moné, whatever, win the titles. Dakota Kai goes off on her own. And the reason why I didn't explicitly have her straight up just hit Io Sky and turn babyface, full-blown babyface, is, look, I've been watching Dakota Kai for years. I'm a huge fan. She is probably the most unnatural and worst babyface I've ever seen is in like women's wrestling, right? The Miz is probably the worst natural babyface for the guys. He's a babyface right now, and he's doing
outside the last 3 months.
He's doing okay, but like he's just a naturally kind of a douche, right? Yeah. So like it
naturally leans into a heel, yes.
And not that Dakota Kai's a douche. It's just more of a she just doesn't give off good girl vibes. She's always been a bad guy for me. Like, even when she was a good guy, you were just waiting on her to turn. Like when she was best friends with Tegan Knox. And everybody knew she would turn on Tegan, and then she did. And then when she was best friends with Raquel Rodriguez, or Raquel Gonzalez now, or no, it was Raquel Rodriguez then, now Raquel Rodriguez, sorry, whatever. And everybody knew that Dakota Kai was a snake, and she would turn. And then she did. So, like, it's one of those things where, like, I feel like if you were just to give her pure baby face by herself, I feel like it'd be a little lukewarm. At least for me, right? This is my booking. You all can feel free to disagree with that. I completely understand. She's very, very talented. She probably would be able to pull it off if that's the direction they gave her, because she's great. I know we haven't seen a whole lot of her wrestle on her own over the last 2 years since she's been a combination of her and in a tag team. But I just think that she's better suited as either a bad guy or just somebody that comes out and tries to beat people up and just kind of does her own thing. That to me feels more natural for Dakota Kai. So that's the direction I would just have her go off completely on her own, not be affiliated with Bayley or Damage Control anymore, just have Dakota Kai go. Because at this point, she has literally been affiliated with other wrestlers for her entire career. Tegan Knox, Raquel Gonzalez, Damage Control. Like, her whole career has been her in a faction or in a tag team. Let her go off on her own. She's done enough of that. Let's see what she has on her own. You signed her for a reason. Let's see what she has. So, there you have it. That's my tag title booking there.
There we go. So, again, both of us have titles changing from the current tag team.
Yeah, and I think at Mania, that's where it has to happen. All the time, right? I feel like it's very rare.
Yep.
It's very rare nowadays, unless it is a babyface champion going in, for there to be a lot of retentions happening. I think that, or it's Gunther. Obviously, Gunther will retain, at least in our bookings. Excuse me, but I think for the most part, we all have the titles changing hands, except for you. Obviously, you have Roman facing AJ and retaining the title as well. But I think WrestleMania is that pay-per-view to have a lot of the big title changes, especially big babyface wins.
Yep.
That's just kind of where it lives. Okay, so Women's World Championship held by Mommy herself. What do we think is going to happen, or at least what do we wish were to happen? Maybe not necessarily what we think is going to happen, although obviously there's a lot of that too. I will start out. Obviously, we're only a couple of weeks away from the Royal Rumble. I really thought that they were going in a certain direction in terms of who she'd be defending her title against, based on the title defense against Ivy Nile and her match against Maxine Dupree over the last couple of weeks. But now I don't really know, because it seems like they've just forgot that title exists and they're now going after the women's tag titles. I don't really know. But my original plan, and I'll stick to it just for the sake of this, is I did have a triple threat match, Rhea Ripley versus Maxine Dupree versus Ivy Nile, and obviously Mommy destroys them both. I just think that it would be a nice little change of pace. Two underdogs, going after the championship. Obviously Maxine would just be a bucket of fun, just, doing her whole shtick, and she's not that great a wrestler, but what she does is entertaining, and obviously Ivy is very, very powerful and very fun to watch. She's a great worker. I think it'd just be a fun match, a little different.
Yep.
But obviously that match doesn't need to happen. I could definitely still tell the story that I'm telling, regardless of that match happening or not happening. Maxine and Ivy are not remotely involved in the women's world title picture after this at all. So quite frankly, we don't even need to have that match if you don't want to, but that's what I have, so I wanted to just be honest with you and obviously with everybody watching. But the most important thing for this booking, the Women's Royal Rumble. I did not reveal my winner for the SmackDown Women's Championship booking that I did earlier, for a reason, because the SmackDown World or the Women's WWE Championship is not involved. So I have Jade Cargill entering the Rumble at probably number 29, 28, or 30. I mean, yeah, it'd be a little bit cliche for 30, but I feel like it would be a great reveal. And a debut, and I have her winning the whole thing. I think that I know you talked about earlier, there's no better way to kind of get somebody over than with a gauntlet match. I 100% agree with you. unless you win the Royal Rumble. I think that's about the only way that you can, like, your first appearance of anything in the company, you're winning the Royal Rumble. I think that while, yes, you are taking a gamble that Vince probably would not have taken, just because you can't assume that everybody is like us, right? Where, like, we watch AEW occasionally or sometimes, or maybe even all the time for some people. A lot of people watch wrestling every single day. You know, watch Monday Night Raw and then whatever is Rampage on Tuesdays and a couple other, like, people watch AEW, WWE, New Japan, TNA, everything every day. I don't. I watch a little bit of AEW when I can. I will mostly watch WWE, and then obviously, you know, I used to watch TNA back in the day when, I don't know if you remember when Sting kind of turned into the Joker for like
a little bit, yeah,
a year or whatever the heck it was, and Hulk Hogan was running around. Like, I used to watch it back then, and I thought it was a lot of fun. But you know, that was a different time. But anyways, I'm getting a little off track there. But yeah, I think that you're not, you know, you can't assume that everybody's like us, where you're like, oh, that's Jade Cargill, she's awesome. Because there's a lot of people that may not have any clue who she is when she comes out, right? I mean, yeah, maybe if you've been watching the show for 6 months, you'll have seen her backstage, and you'll think, oh, that's the woman that they showed a few months back in the backstage segments a few times. Sure, maybe you'll have that, but they may not know the significance of who she is, why she's here, or how good she is. And so, yes, you're taking a gamble, but quite frankly, if you're going to take a gamble on somebody, it's got to be Jade, because just look at her. Like, it would be different if it was like, I'm trying to think of like a stereotypical like person, like just like a standard woman's wrestler, like a Tegan Nox, where you look at her and you go, oh, well, she's not jacked to the moon, and she doesn't really do a whole lot of high-flying stuff. So, like, aesthetically, just like, if you'd never seen her before, you'd be like, oh, she seems okay. No, you look at Jade, and she looks like she's ready to rip everybody in half. You don't even have to know who she is. You'd be like, whoa, she looks way different than everybody else in there. So I feel like if you're going to take that chance of, even if people don't know who she is, Jade's the one, because you just take one look at her and you know she's a superstar when she walks out there. And you knew it from the moment that she teamed with Shaq. That was her first match. I don't know if you're aware of that. Her first match was Cody and oh gosh, who was it? Sonny Kiss? I can't remember who it was, versus Jade Cargill and Shaq. So yeah, that was interesting.
Already superstar level right there.
Yeah, exactly. Once you're with Shaq, you never go back. That's how it goes. But anyway, yeah. So Jade is the winner of the Rumble, and obviously, based on the fact that I'm saying it in this booking, the next night on Raw, she will challenge Rhea Ripley for WrestleMania.
Fair enough. Yeah. No. So I've already revealed where I have Jade coming in earlier. So I definitely have I obviously have a different Rumble winner. You know, I was looking at stuff. We haven't had a lot of years of the Women's Rumble. There's been no repeat winners yet. You know, I think you could look at, you know, of any repeat winners, I feel you could, and I had it up here just a minute ago, but I don't know.
You could have Bianca win.
But I mean, of the very few people that have already won it, I think Becky kind of sticks out as one to do a repeat already. You know, we haven't seen Raquel Rodriguez for a little bit. Could we bring her back and have her win it?
I actually saw a video today that she is away for a little while because I forget what it was called, but she basically, long story short, is she's had very severe eczema for a very long time, and she just got diagnosed with, I can't remember what it's called, but she put it out on social media a few days ago. I just saw it this morning. So I don't know how long she's going to be away, or she might come back at the Rumble. I don't know, but she's been away for a little bit because of whatever the diagnosis is. She's taking care of herself. Right. So that's why she's... Yeah. In case any of you maybe at home didn't know why she hasn't been on TV, that apparently is why, what she says she's been off TV for, so I would tend to believe her. Right.
So, I mean, so I'm looking at, you know, there's a lot of different ways you could kind of go. Again, I think Jade is kind of the, not necessarily bad pick, is the easy pick, but I don't mean that in a bad way at all.
Of course.
I wouldn't be shocked at all if it's Jade that wins the Rumble.
Yeah, but it may be somewhat predictable. Fair enough.
But, everybody thinks of back in September when WWE signed Jade, but I think everybody's forgetting about Nia Jax. I have Nia Jax winning the Women's Royal Rumble.
I do not blame you.
I think it's, she's obviously been brought back. I always thought it was kind of weird how she was using WWE because I feel like there are very few women who could actually go toe to toe with her in the match truly. So it was always kind of one of those matches where it was like, it was hard to suspend the disbelief that someone else was beating Nia Jax in a wrestling match when majority of the wrestlers wrestling Nia Jax were half her size, 2/3 her size. Becky might be able to stand up to her a little more, but again, it's like Nia Jax versus everybody. I mean, it took 11 people to throw her out of the Rumble one year. Might have been last year, actually.
Yeah, I think it was last year.
So, 11 people took her out, kind of like the, Mark Henry, Braun Strowman type of thing, where it's like everybody in the ring getting up on this one person to get them out so we don't have to worry about this person because they obviously use a perceived threat, but it's like that threat never actually follows through. Well, it's like, I'm thinking, let's follow through with that threat. And because of how we've talked about the other title, she's obviously going to challenge Rhea.
Yep, and they're telling that story right now.
Yep. So and I feel like we've kind of we saw Nia Jax. We haven't seen her for a while. We've seen her with Becky Lynch a little bit in the last few weeks. So I think you can kind of tell that story still. I think you can even tell it after Rumble a little bit, and you can kind of get Becky. I think you can almost even see Becky trying to make it another triple threat like she did a few years ago. I believe that was with Ronda and Charlotte, to where she didn't win anything, but she still maneuvered and got her way in there. That's when she became Becky Two Belts, I believe, because I think Charlotte. I forget how, but I think that was when she became Becky Two Belts.
When she beat Ronda, yeah.
When she beat Ronda and Charlotte.
Yep.
So I think you kind of try to tell that a little bit too by keeping Becky in the picture. But where she ultimately falls short of trying to maneuver her way into that match again, and I feel like Rhea and Nia Jax could really give us a good quality match. I just feel like, again, so many wrestlers have gone against Nia, but it's like almost hard to believe that how did they just lose to Nia Jax? It's like obviously different maneuvers and stuff like that, but. Nia Jax is my winner at Rumble. And I don't really have, I think the story in between PLEs, I think keeps Becky and Nia together, and Rhea offers up some TV matches like she's been doing with Ivan Isle. I think she's in with Maxine. I think she offers a couple other TV title matches, kind of like we do with the women's WWE Women's Championship. So I think, kind of do the same thing there.
Yep.
In the interim, just to kind of keep her busy, but she's also kind of, she's always trying to help out with Judgment Day too. So there's ways to kind of keep her busy while you kind of let the Becky and Nia story play out until, a couple weeks leading up to WrestleMania.
Okay. So, Chamber for you. Obviously, Rhea is Australian. Do you have her defending the title at Chamber?
No, I don't.
Oh, man. Do you at least have her doing... Well, I mean, it wouldn't matter for this, but do you at least have her doing something on the show? Because you can't have an Australian show without Mommy. Like, you can't. They're going to be chanting Mommy all night, those poor folks.
I mean, you can do a lot of different things, whether it's just accompanying... I honestly could see just, accompanying Priest out, because if we go back to how I booked that men's title, Priest is defending that title. Might as well have, you could have her in his corner, and, kind of being like, I'm not letting one of my teammates lose this match. Maybe introduce him, talk him up, a little bit. But no, I currently haven't. That's where I had a hard time figuring out. Again, it's, looking at the card, looking at, how she could be involved in Elimination Chamber currently.
Maybe
I'll change my mind in the next week or two and figure out something. But as of right now, no, nothing really nothing concrete for
Okay.
the moment.
Fair enough. Just wanted to ask. All right. So, there's a couple of things about what happened in the Rumble that I wanted to leave out until after. That way, obviously, you got your chance to kind of go through what you had without me just kind of, sitting here for 5-10 minutes and just talking about what happens in the Rumble match, because obviously a lot of it may not necessarily exactly matter for the exact matches that I have right then and there for what you had set up. So I just wanted to make sure that you had your chance to kind of get your side of things. So there's a few things that are going to happen in the Rumble match that matter for this booking, but a little bit later. So I appreciate that you brought up the 11 women. It took 11 women to eliminate Nia Jax in the Rumble, because I actually used that in my story here. So last year it took 11 women to eliminate Nia Jax, obviously, as he mentioned earlier. But this year Nia's prepared. She knows that all the women are going to try to gang up on her. So instead of her doing what she did last year, which was weirdly just walk around and call everybody the B word for about 2.5 minutes until they all punched her and threw her out. Don't really know where she thought she was going to get with that, but I mean, sure. So she just comes in and just starts destroying everybody and just throwing everybody out. And we're going to get down to the final four, which is going to be Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch, Nia Jax, and Jade Cargill. So basically 4 pillars of amazing women that are left in the Rumble. Sorry, Bianca, but she gets eliminated first. Don't worry, you're obviously very heavily featured in my WWE Women's, so don't feel bad. But you get thrown out by Nia Jax, and it's looking like nobody is going to be able to eliminate Nia Jax. Now listen, I'm gonna say a disclaimer here. I don't know if she is physically capable of doing this. She may not be physically capable of doing this, and if she isn't, then okay. But I think that Jade Cargill is physically capable of picking up Nia Jax and throwing her over the top rope by herself. Because let me tell you, if you've never seen Jade Cargill before, she is wickedly strong. I mean, very, very, very strong. And so, if you've never seen her before and you want to make a ridiculous first impression, why not have her pick up Nia Jax and throw a woman who, he just admitted, it took 11 women to throw her out of the Rumble, a la Cesaro picking up the Big Show in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal a few years ago and just whoop over. And Nia Jax just looks absolutely stunned, silent, not even angry. Just, did somebody seriously just do that to me? Because think about it. No woman is doing that right now. But Jade, if she, again, disclaimer number 2, if she's physically capable of doing it. I don't know if she is. I've never seen her pick up somebody that heavy, obviously. But I think she probably is. At least like fireman's carry. I feel like at least fireman's carry dump over would probably... She's clearly capable of that. I don't know if she's literally capable of like picking her up like that, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. But I think she probably could. And if that's how you get Jade over, is everybody goes, what? Like, that's crazy. Like, no one's ever picked up Nia Jax like that. But Jade can. But the cool part is that leaves Becky Lynch and Jade Cargill as the last 2 people in the Rumble. Give me 7 minutes of Jade versus Becky at the end of the Rumble. The mini match at the end of the Rumble is my favorite part of every Royal Rumble. It is the best. Like last year, Cody versus Gunther. For like 2 months, everybody was like, can we get that at WrestleMania? I don't even care about the dang story anymore. Let's just get Gunther versus Cody for an hour, please. Yep. Because it was just so entertaining. I would love to see Jade versus Becky for just a few minutes. Obviously, Jade were to eventually get Becky out, and Becky's just kind of give that smirk of like, all right, she got me. So, Jade picks Rhea for WrestleMania. Obviously, we'll fast forward because there's not a whole lot of story beats for the title between Rumble and Chamber. But at Chamber is when you tell the Nia Jax story that is happening right now. I think that getting Rhea Ripley a big, big, big win, spoiler, at Chamber in front of her home country against Nia Jax is going to be really, really good for Rhea and even better for Jade when she faces her at WrestleMania because obviously it's going to look like Jade's got to overcome. I mean, how the heck are you going to stop Rhea Ripley if Nia Jax, who's basically unstoppable, can't beat her? I mean, this is crazy. So I think that story makes a lot of sense. And the way I tell it is pretty easy. Obviously, you'd have Nia Jax just be real ticked off that she lost the Rumble and still want to face Rhea Ripley anyway because that's the story they're telling on TV. She's like, I'm going to win the Rumble and I'm going to face you. She's literally said that to her face already. So she's just mad that she can't then, use that to challenge Rhea, so she just basically attacks her. You can either have it, if she's at ringside for a Judgment Day match, or if she's in a one-on-one match with, I don't know, Zoe Stark. I don't care, like whoever you want to put. Doesn't really matter. Shayna Baszler, whoever it is. And you can just have Nia Jax demolish her and challenge her for Chamber. Because Chamber is WrestleMania sized, right? So it would be a huge match for Nia Jax. Like, it would be the biggest, I say the biggest match of her career. She did win the Women's Championship at WrestleMania at one point. So I don't know. I'd say probably that's bigger. Yeah. But second biggest match of her career. So it would still be a huge occasion. It would still be a big, big money match, especially in Australia where Nia's going to be booed out of the absolute just everywhere. She's going to be booed out of the country. And Mommy's going to be cheered out of the country, so it's going to look even more like everybody hates Nia Jax. So I think that would be really, really good. Obviously, as I said earlier, I would have Rhea win that. It's a huge, huge win. If you want to have Jade come out and do a nice little stare down for a little bit afterwards, you can. Otherwise, you really don't have to. Honestly, I may even have Jade just sit at commentary. Get her her personality over a little bit on commentary. You might do that. That's fine. The only problem with that is that I try to also think of my other bookings, and I already have Cody Rhodes doing that. Or maybe not necessarily commentary, but he's already sitting at ringside. Right. So then you'd have both Rumble winners just weirdly staring at the match from ringside. I don't know if you want to do it both times. Yeah. But I would have that up to Chamber. So. Now, since you do not have anything for Chamber, what do you have kind of occurring at WrestleMania? Is Rhea retaining, or do you have a new champion being crowned?
I have a new champion.
New champion!
I feel like, again, the odd booking of Nia, you bring her back in a way where she's just like, all of a sudden, just there when they brought her back. She interferes and stuff, and I feel outside of probably Jade, maybe I think even Bianca, there's very few I feel Charlotte that can truly go toe to toe with Rhea. I'd throw Becky in there too. She's at the top echelon of women's wrestling. And I mean, so it's like, you have to have some kind of big force to take the title off her. So I have Nia actually winning at WrestleMania. So another title change.
You like torture. I like it. That's good. That's really good. I'll tell you what.
I think you could go back to them at Backlash, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Rhea. I think you could book that a quick title change and put it right back on Rhea. I don't think maybe that sounds weird.
Happens. Yeah.
Or I even the thought I had that clean, but the other thought too is having Becky interfere in the match, trying to cost Nia, but she actually ends up, helping Nia inadvertently.
Yeah.
And that's how Nia wins. And then you could go back to, then you could almost go back to a triple threat at Backlash, or go back to Rhea and Nia themselves again at Backlash and put it right back on Rhea. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I think you could do a couple things there, but I think you have Nia, clean over over Rhea at WrestleMania, but I think you get a rematch right away, and I think you can put it right back on Rhea at Backlash.
Sure. I mean, yeah, fair enough. I tell you what, my wife and I, we watch Raw pretty much every week together. I watch Raw every week. She sometimes watches it with me. Most of the time she's asleep by 10, so she misses most of the main events. But, man, every time Nia Jax comes out, she goes, oh! She just cannot stand Nia Jax. And quite frankly, neither can I've never been a fan of Nia Jax.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's a very, very nice, wonderful person in real life, but...
I'm not trying to say, there's a fandom there either.
Obviously, yeah.
I think of, again, kind of going with the current stories and just finding that force to, have someone take out Rhea, but, reestablishing yourself very quickly again and Backlash, like getting the title back. So instead of kind of like, well, if she got beat but could take it back, I guess we're in for another long run with her.
Yep. Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, I think she does well with it. It's just a matter of let's book some more matches around that title.
Yeah. Yeah. But let's get back to a happier time in my booking here, because no Nia Jax. No. Obviously, Jade, Rhea, WrestleMania rolls around. There's a couple of things that I really debated on saying until after I said who won at WrestleMania, what would happen, or before. I think I'm going to say it before, just so that I can kind of get both, like, who wins at Mania and then kind of have follow-up. So, I am debating going two ways. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. So, obviously I said that the Becky and Jade, like, little mini match at the end of the Rumble, right? Jade gets the better of Becky. Mm-hmm. So, I thought one of two things. One, if we as a fan base are still worried about Jade getting over, right? And people believing in her and people actually liking her character... sometimes a promo or a quick dominant match is not going to be enough because we've seen plenty of promos before, and she's not the best on the microphone either. She's okay, she's good, I'd say, but not, she's not she's not going to be CM Punk and immediately win everybody over with her promo skills. The dominant matches are a dime a dozen. I mean, we've seen plenty of failed wrestlers have amazingly dominant matches for a couple of months, and then they fall off the face of the earth and we never see them again. So those things alone aren't enough. So maybe what you do is 2 weeks after Rumble, when obviously, Jade comes out on Raw the next night after Chamber, not after Rumble. After Chamber, she'll come out the next night, she'll cut a promo. Becky Lynch will come down to the ring and say, listen, I understand that you won the Rumble, but I don't really feel like you've earned this opportunity. I don't think you've done anything. I've been here killing myself for this company, and I think that I deserve it. And eventually, obviously, you can do it better than I just did. That's a terrible way to book it. But the point being that kind of similar to like Daniel Bryan versus Roman a few years ago when Roman won the Rumble, but everybody hated it, and so Vince was like, hey, it'd be a good idea? Tease the fans even more with giving them what they want, but then not give it to them anyway because they all wanted Daniel Bryan to win, and they had Daniel Bryan challenge him for the right to face the champion at WrestleMania at like Elimination Chamber, and Daniel Bryan lost, and it was like, oh, this is awkward. They're just basically just like, okay, you can stop booing now. Like, can you get over it? It's Roman. Now shut up. Like, that's basically what it was. Don't do it that badly. But the point being, Becky versus Jade 2 weeks or 3 weeks before WrestleMania to determine who really faces Rhea Ripley. And you give them 20 minutes, main event Raw, and have Jade win. I promise you, if you give them 20 minutes, Jade will get over. Like, she's going to showcase all her skills in the 20-minute match.
Right.
The problem that I have with that, Jade didn't have a whole lot of 20-minute matches in AEW. So I don't know how comfortable she would be with a barn burner match like that right now. I think she's good with 12, 15-minute matches where she's dominant and she looks great and the story is really, really good. But I don't know if, like, long, drawn-out, back-and-forth matches are her specialty yet. She could obviously be very good at those. We just haven't seen a whole lot of it yet because she was just a very dominant champion in AEW for almost 2 years. So I think that would be good. But the other way that I was going with it is, just not having that, just have it be straight up. Jade goes right to WrestleMania and then have Becky be the first challenger afterwards. And you get Becky versus Jade when Jade's champion. And then you have, obviously, Jade go over at that point. Pros and cons. Pro being, I really think that it would help Jade get over before WrestleMania, and it would make the moment even bigger when she does kind of win the title, because she wins the title at Mania. Duh. But I think the kind of con is you now did it a little bit at the Rumble, and you did it after Chamber. If you then go back to it, we've already seen Jade get the better of Becky twice in a very short period of time. How much are people going to be invested in that at, like, WrestleMania Backlash or at, Money in the Bank or whatever the case may be? That's the con, right? So, like, if you wait till after, everybody's going to be pining for that match because they got just a tiny taste of it at the Rumble. Right. Just a little bit of taste of it. And there's going to be listen, and at that point, I think you can play into the fact that Jade is still brand new and not everybody fully 100% believes in Jade yet because she's still just brand new, but everybody loves Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
So, like, you can have, like, the hardcore WWEs going, yeah, Becky, and Jade's like, what? Like, why?
I like the idea, I think, after more, because I think in between, I think you could put Jade with Ivy Nile. I think you could put Jade with not Maxine, but
don't
with
poor Maxine.
With Zoe. I think Jade versus Zoe. Come up with I think you could come up with 2 or 3 challengers for her just to kind of tune her up. Again, 8-10 minute matches. It's like she wins them all. Kind of get her on a little bit of a streak, maybe even being like. But build her up to not squash matches, because Ivy, Zoe, maybe Shayna, yeah. They're still valuable, so you don't want to, because you're going to probably need them in a challenger after Becky. But yeah, I kind of like the idea of Becky after because
fair enough.
She's almost kind of it's kind of funny how her and Rollins kind of play that role of we'll help put people over, but we're going to make sure that their matches are earning it matches kind of thing.
Yep.
If we're not winning, we're fine putting someone over, but it's like, they'll still put a quality match together. She's great in the ring, obviously, promo, if there's a little bit of a promo work that Jade needs, maybe there's they can kind of not to poke fun at Jade, but maybe a little bit of an assist there, kind of But I like the idea of Becky after, and using other women to kind of build up Jade as where she's a force, she's getting in offense, she's getting offense in for 70% of a match. She might not get in right away, but then she prevails. The contender challenger comes back a little bit, but then it's like, nope. We're done.
Match over. Yeah. I know the one match that I am going to definitely need to see between Chamber and WrestleMania is Jade Cargill beating Nia Jax clean. I think that's important as well because, again, yes, she threw her out of the Rumble. Nia Jax, in a lot of ways, can still blame Jade for not being champion, go right after her after Chamber, after she loses her match, in my booking, obviously, to Rhea.
And I think maybe you could put her in the role of what you're talking about Becky before, of Nia saying, finally, doing it over a couple of weeks where goading her into putting the contendership on the line, be like, it's like, you can't beat me in a match, you can't actually do that in a match, and just of pushing her around a little bit, and Jade finally is like, all right, let's go.
Yep. Yeah, and I think it would be lovely to have, especially if it's the case of whoever wins the match actually faces Rhea at Mania, Rhea to be at ringside, whether on commentary or not, and then have Jade do an awesome power spot with Nia Jax. If it was up to me, it would be a nice kind of like Braun Strowman-esque power slam. She picks her up on her shoulder and slams her to the ground, and Rhea Ripley just like stands up like super slowly, just wide-eyed, going, "What is that in the ring? What am I going to be in the ring with?"
Yep.
Like, that's not a human being that can do that. Like, no matter how strong Mommy is, Mommy can't do that. So it's Mommy's back's not strong enough for that. That's what I would have. So again, in case I wasn't clear enough on it, Jade will win the title at Mania against Rhea Ripley. I think obviously WrestleMania Backlash, you got to have a rematch, right? I feel like you got to have Rhea go. I mean, she's been champion for a year. There's no way she's just gonna walk away. And obviously have Jade win again, and then maybe you can go into a program with Becky after that. I think that would be lovely. Or if you want to save that till SummerSlam, I think that would be fun too. But Dan, we're done.
We're done.
You're free. You don't have to come back anymore, Dan. You don't have to deal with my yelling and screaming and
we might be back to Monday after Rumble.
We definitely will be back Monday after Rumble, or maybe not. Well, maybe not Monday after Rumble. I might need a day to sleep.
Okay,
we'll see.
Tuesday, yeah. We'll be forward pretty shortly after.
Very shortly after Rumble, yeah. We'll
I'm going to come down to Tampa right after Rumble and be like, "Let's go right now,
right now." Right after the bell rings after the main event. Where'd you come from? How'd you get in here? No, but how'd you get past security? But no, Dan, dude, this has been so much fun. Yeah. The series has been awesome. I know that it's been something that I look forward to every single week. I remember I even said to somebody at work today, it was just a very long day at work, and they were like, "Hey, Tyler, you doing all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'm just ready to go home and talk about wrestling for an hour and a half." Like, I'm just, I was just so ready. It's something I look forward to every week, and so thank you so much for doing this.
This has been great. Yes. I'm looking forward to maybe kind of, maybe after, maybe closer to Chamber, kind of like, hey, with these obviously pictures aren't going, so we're gonna maybe do some revisions, if we want to, but or update cards as we could say it. Got to find a way to kind of put our cards together side by side of Rumble, of Chamber, of Mania.
And we did Survivor Series predictions, so I assume that there'll be Elimination Chamber predictions and WrestleMania predictions and stuff like that.
Based on the actual card,
based on the actual card. But we just thought that it would be a fun concept to kind of give you guys our thought process, our creativity. And we really hope that you guys enjoyed this as much as we did. I doubt it, because we enjoyed this a lot. But we really hope you did, and please let us know what you guys thought. If you guys liked these bookings, if you didn't, if you want to see more stuff like this, I'd love to hear about it. So but that's gonna do it for this series. The series is done, guys, so we're gonna have to figure out something else to do on these Tuesday. All right, well, I guess I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do from now on. But anyways, thank you guys so very much for watching, and we will see you all next time.